Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. But always remember, context is everything. Media Network founder and CEO John Michael is reading a textbook cover to cover. That's right. Today we're 731 pages into this textbook on chapter 29, section 3. India seeks self-rule. Yesterday we talked about Africa seeking self-rule and the Middle East seeking self-rule after World War I. Here, we talk about India. Welcome. Please subscribe. Please like. Thank you. Number one in canine viewership here. Put this show on for your dog. Turn on the playlist and let it run. Your dog will love it while you're out doing all of the errands that bring you away throughout the day. Context is Everything Media Network founder and CEO John Michael says yes. India seeks self-rule. Tensions were running high in Amritsar, a city in northern India. Protests against British rule had sparked riots and attacks on British residents. On April 13th, 1919, a large but peaceful crowd jammed into the walled field in the heart of the city. The British commander, General Reginald Dyer, had banned public meetings, but Indians either ignored or had not heard the order. The Indian leader addressed the crowd. Dyer arrived with 50 soldiers. To clear the field, they opened fire on the unarmed men, women, and children. Within 10 minutes, they had killed 379 people and wounded more than 1,100. The Amritsar massacre was a turning point for many Indians. It convinced them of the evils of British rule. Wow. Moves toward independence. After such a horrendous statement, I'm going to put these sunglasses on, which is kind of goofy, but it's just part of the channel. I put sunglasses on to denote new heading. So, new heading. Moves towards independence. The tragedy at Amritsar was linked to broader Indian frustrations after World War I. During the war, more than 1 million Indians had served overseas, suffering heavy casualties. As thousands died on distant battlefields, the Indian nationalists grew angry that they had no freedom at home. To quiet the nationalist demands, the British promised India greater self-government after the war. But when the fighting ended, Britain proposed only a few minor reforms. Since 1885, the Congress Party had pressured the self-rule within British Empire. After Amritsar, it began to call for full independence. But party members were mostly a middle-class, Western-educated elite who had little in common with the masses of Indian peasants. In 1920s, a new leader emerged and united all Indians. Adoring Indians dubbed him Mahatma, or Great Soul. Mahatma, meaning great soul. Mohandas Gandhi. Why am I so itchy? The new leader was Mohandas Gandhi. Gandhi came from the middle-class Hindu family. At age 19, he went to England to study law. Like thousands of Indians before him, Gandhi went to South Africa, where he joined an Indian law firm. Although Gandhi was more successful financially than many Indians in South Africa, he too faced racial prejudice. For 20 years, Gandhi fought laws that discriminated against Indians in South Africa. In his struggle against injustice, he adopted the weapon of nonviolent passive resistance. He called it Satyagraha, or soul force. In 1914, Gandhi returned to India, where his ideas inspired Indians of all regions and ethnic backgrounds. Nonviolence. While leaders like Ataturk While leaders like Ataturk from yesterday's reading adopted Western solutions to national problems, Gandhi embraced Hindu traditions. Above all, he preached the ancient doctrine of ahimsa, or nonviolence, and revered reverence for all life. By using the power of love, he believed people could convert even the worst wrongdoer to the right course of action. Gandhi's philosophy reflected Western as well as Indian influences. He admired Christian teachings about love and had heard the works of Henry David Thoreau, an American philosopher of the 1800s, who believed in civil disobedience, the refusal to obey unjust laws. Gandhi also embraced Western ideas of democracy and nationalism. He rejected the inequalities of the caste system and fought hard to end harsh treatment of untouchables. He urged equal rights for all Indians, women as well as men. Gandhi sets an example. Abandoning Western-style clothing, Gandhi dressed in the dhoti, D-H-O-T-I, a simple white garment traditionally worn by village Indians. During the 1920s and 1930s, he launched a series of nonviolent actions against the British rule. He called for boycotts of British goods, especially textiles, and urged Indians to wear only cotton grown and woven in India. He worked to restore pride in India's traditional industries, making the spinning wheel a symbol of national movement. Many women joined the self-sufficiency movement, producing as many as they could in their homes. Okay, so that's interesting. Like when people say, I only buy American-made. They're following Gandhi's teachings. But I don't say I only buy American-made. Partially because Chinese stuff is cheaper and I'm not wealthy. And also because American cars are not very reliable. At least the cars are. Maybe the trucks are reliable. But the cars are not. And the mini SUVs, a Ford Escape. Get out of here. Ford Escape? You're trying to sell me a Ford Fusion? 2013? Garbage. The Salt March. New heading. To mobilize mass support, Gandhi set out to end British salt monopoly. Everyone needs salt to survive, but while natural salt was unavailable in the sea, Indians were forbidden to touch it. What? They could buy only salt sold by the British government. To Gandhi, the government salt monopoly was a symbol of British oppression. Yeah. Early in the 1930s, he wrote to the British Viceroy in India, stating his intention to break the law. Breaking the law. On March 12th, Gandhi set out with 78 followers on a 240-mile march to the sea. As the tiny band passed through villages, crowds responded to Gandhi's message. By the time they reached the sea, the marchers numbered in the thousands. On April 6th, 1930, I would assume, Gandhi waded into the surf and picked up a lump of sea salt. Raising it over his head, he declared, "With this I am shaking the foundations of the British Empire." Gandhi was arrested and jailed. Still, Indians followed his lead. Coastal villages started collecting salt. Congress Party leaders sold salt on city streets, displayed to enormous rallies, and were arrested. Congress Party leaders sold salt on city streets, displayed it to enormous rallies, and were arrested. As Gandhi's campaign gained force, tens of thousands of Indians were imprisoned. Toward freedom. All around the world, newspapers thundered against Britain. Stories revealed how police brutality clubbed peaceful marchers who tried to occupy the government salt works. Not only were the marchers ever raised, not one of the marchers ever raised an arm to fend off the blows, wrote the outraged American reporter. Gandhi's campaign of nonviolence and self-sacrifice of his followers slowly forced Britain to agree to hand over some power to Indians. Gandhi's campaign of nonviolence and the self-sacrifice of his followers slowly forced Britain to agree to hand over some power to the Indians. Britain also agreed to meet their demands of the Congress Party. Complete independence, however, would not be achieved until 1947. Looking ahead. As India came closer to independence, Muslim fears of Hindu majority increased. While millions of Muslims responded to Gandhi's campaigns, tensions between Hindus and Muslims often erupted into violence. A separate Muslim state. During the 1930s, the Muslim League gained an able leader in Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Like Gandhi, Jinnah came from a middle-class background and studied law in England. At first, he represented Muslim interests with the Congress Party. Later, he threw his support behind the idea of separate state for Muslims. It would be called Pakistan, meaning land of the ritually pure. Land of the ritually pure, Pakistan. Interesting. World War II. India was moving toward independence when a new world war exploded in 1939. Britain outraged Indian leaders by postponing further action on independence and then bringing India into war without consulting them. Angry nationalists launched a campaign of non-cooperation and were jailed by the British. Millions of Indians, however, did help Britain during the war. When the war ended in 1945, independence could no longer be delayed. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time. Please subscribe if you made it this far. Please. Please, I'm begging you. I'm begging you, please. God bless. Thank you. Goodbye. That was quick. Where is this button here? There it is.